July 1954. Tokyo's Haneda airport is buzzing with life. Planes are roaring in. Travelers in tailored suits and elegant dresses are filing through customs. Japan is still shaking off the ashes of World War II, and the airport is one of the gateways where East meets West. Among the crowd, one man stands out, not because of how he looks, but because of how ordinary he seems. Mid-40s, salt and pepper hair slicked back, gray business suit neatly pressed, leather briefcase in hand. If you saw him, you wouldn't remember him 10 minutes later. He walks calmly to the customs desk. The officer, bored from the steady shuffle of passports, flips his open. Stamp, stamp, stamp. Then his eyes stop. His jaw stiffens. He looks again. The country listed at the top? Taured. The officer frowns. He's processed thousands of passports, but he has never seen this one. The lettering, the seals, the paper stock, it all looks legitimate. Even the worn edges suggest years of travel. But the name, Taured. The officer excuses himself, consults another officer. Then another. Soon, whispers ripple through the customs desk. Heads bend over the document. Pages are flipped back and forth. The man, calm, polite, asks in fluent Japanese what the problem is. Sir, one officer finally says, "Where are you from?" The man blinks. "I already told you. I'm from Taured." Now the room is tense. The officers know geography. They've studied maps. They've heard of tiny microstates, obscure colonies, even new post-war borders shifting across Europe. But no one, not one person, has ever heard of Taured. And yet the passport bears the name of the country. The stamps inside aren't crude fakes. They're official. They show entries from France, from Spain, from Japan itself. The passport is real. The problem is, the country isn't. The man, still polite, seems slightly annoyed by their confusion. He insists he has been traveling to Japan on business for years. This is his third trip just this year. His company, he explains, is headquartered in Taured, and he's here to attend meetings in Tokyo. The officers exchange glances. They ask him to wait. They call on supervisors. The tension grows. This is no longer a routine customs check. This is a crisis. Because if the passport is real, and if the stamps are real, then either an entire country has somehow slipped off the face of the earth, or something much stranger is happening. And at that moment, standing in the fluorescent-lit customs hall, with Japanese officials closing in, the man from Taured is about to become one of the greatest mysteries of the 20th century. The map that didn't exist. The officer, still clutching the strange passport, tried to maintain his composure. He asked the man, who spoke fluent French with the crispness of a native, where exactly this country of Taured was. The traveler didn't hesitate. With the calm authority of a seasoned businessman, he said, "It is between France and Spain, near the Pyrenees. Surely you must know." The customs officer frowned. Between France and Spain, near the Pyrenees, everyone knew that was Andorra. There was no Taured. So the officer pulled out a map. A big, detailed one, lines, borders, cities, capitals. He placed it on the desk and slid it toward the man. The traveler leaned forward, confident. He tapped his finger firmly on the spot where Andorra should be. Only, his map of reality didn't match theirs. He jabbed the page again and insisted. "Here, Taured. My country has been there for 1,000 years." The customs officer and his colleagues exchanged nervous glances. To them, he was pointing at Andorra. But to him, Andorra didn't exist. His country did. Now imagine the scene. This wasn't a prank, not a drunk tourist fumbling through excuses. The man was genuinely confused, shocked, even, that they had never heard of his nation. His brows furrowed, his voice grew sharper. "I have traveled here many times. Never has this been a problem before. What kind of joke is this? The officials pressed him with questions. They asked for supporting documents. He calmly produced bank statements, issued from a Taured-based bank, stamped, signed, legitimate, business contracts, written on company letterhead from firms supposedly based in his homeland, a driver's license, a clean, official card. Every piece looked authentic. The paper stock, the seals, the fonts, it was all correct. Only problem? None of the companies, banks, or institutions listed existed. The customs officers were now in uncharted waters. It was one thing if a man carried a fake passport. They'd seen plenty of those. But this was something else. A whole infrastructure of evidence backing a place that shouldn't be real. The traveler, meanwhile, was growing irritated. He wasn't scared. He was frustrated, like a man arguing with a waiter about a reservation he knows he made. He believed, without question, that his country was real. Finally, the officials made a decision. The man couldn't be allowed to wander Tokyo freely until they figured this out. So they escorted him to a nearby hotel, posting 2 guards at his door while they worked the case overnight. The traveler agreed, though he was still indignant. He went quietly, certain that by morning, someone would straighten out this absurd misunderstanding. But by morning, the story would take a turn that made this passport mystery legendary. The vanishing. The man from Taured was escorted under watch to a modest Tokyo hotel. 2 uniformed guards stationed themselves outside his room. The orders were simple. Keep him inside. Don't let him out of your sight. The traveler didn't resist. In fact, he seemed more insulted than frightened. He dropped his suitcase on the bed, muttered about the absurdity of it all, and waved off the officers as though they were incompetent clerks, not men with the power to detain him. The guards weren't playing around. They checked the locks, ensured the windows were secure, and rotated shifts to keep eyes on the door. No one was going in or out. Night fell. The neon glow of Tokyo buzzed outside. And inside, a man who shouldn't exist lay down to sleep in a world that apparently didn't recognize his country. Morning came. The guards, tired but steady, knocked on the door. Silence. They knocked again. Nothing. Finally, with a master key, the hotel staff unlocked the door. The guards pushed it open and froze. The room was empty. The bed had been slept in, the sheets rumpled. The suitcase was gone. So were his clothes, his documents, his mysterious passport. Every trace of the traveler had vanished. The hotel staff swore no one had entered or left through the front. The guards outside insisted they never left their posts. The only window in the room was several stories above the busy Tokyo street below. Jumping would have been suicide, and there was no fire escape, no balcony, no rope. It was as if the man had evaporated into thin air. Customs scrambled. Police scoured the area. Airports and train stations were alerted. No one matching his description, middle-aged, neatly dressed, fluent in French and Japanese, was seen leaving Japan. The documents he had presented, bank papers, contracts, ID cards, all gone. They had been left with him overnight for safekeeping. Now, nothing remained to even prove he'd been there. Except, of course, for the bewildered guards, who now found themselves facing questions they couldn't answer. So what happened? Some say he was a skilled conman, pulling off one of the most elaborate scams in travel history. But if so, why vanish without cashing in? And how could he disappear under constant guard? Others suggest something stranger. A slip in reality. A man who walked into our timeline from another one, where Taured was as real as France or Spain. If that's true, then maybe, when he disappeared, he simply slipped back.